Throughout history, some stories have been celebrated, passed down through generations, and woven into the fabric of faith. Others, however, have been cast aside, their voices silenced, their lessons nearly forgotten. One such story is that of Susanna, a narrative once revered by early believers, celebrated for its profound lessons of courage, integrity, and divine justice. Today, it remains shrouded in mystery, excluded from many versions of the Bible, and often overlooked in discussions of Scripture. Why was this story removed? What about Susanna's tale sparked such controversy that it was deemed unfit to remain within the sacred text? Was it simply a matter of its origins, or did its message threaten those in power? Join us as we delve into the forgotten story of Susanna, unraveling its meaning and uncovering the reasons behind its removal. But before we dive in, if this is your first time here, please subscribe, like, and share this video to help spread the hidden truths of Scripture to others. Now, let's get started. To understand why the story of Susanna was removed from many versions of the Bible, we must first explore its origins. The tale is part of the Greek version of the Old Testament known as the Septuagint. This translation, completed centuries before the time of Christ, was widely used in the Greek-speaking world and became a cornerstone for early Christians. The Septuagint included several books and editions not found in the original Hebrew texts. Among these was the Book of Susanna, often positioned as an introduction to the Book of Daniel. While some viewed these texts as supplemental, others saw them as integral to the broader narrative of God's work through history. But Susanna's story is more than a historical artifact. It's a vivid and timeless tale of faith, courage, and divine justice. Let's step into the world of Susanna and hear her story as it has been told for centuries. Susanna was the wife of Joachim, a wealthy and respected man within the Jewish community of Babylon. She was renowned for her beauty, but even more so for her unwavering devotion to God. Her home served as a meeting place for the elders and leaders of the community, two of whom would soon play a pivotal role in her story. As Susanna walked alone in her garden one day, unaware of prying eyes, these elders, driven by their lust, began to scheme. Day after day, they watched her, their desires festering until they could no longer contain their wicked intentions. Finally, they saw their opportunity. The elders cornered Susanna, trapping her within her own garden. They presented her with a cruel and devastating ultimatum: submit to their desires or face false accusations of adultery, a crime punishable by death under Jewish law. Susanna's situation was dire. Her reputation, her life, and her family's honor hung in the balance. Yet, despite the overwhelming pressure, Susanna stood firm. She refused to betray her God, her husband, or her integrity. Her faith remained unshaken, even in the face of such terrifying threats. Infuriated by her resistance, the elders carried out their threat. They publicly accused Susanna of meeting a young man in secret, a baseless claim that carried a devastating penalty. The community, trusting the words of its leaders, turned against her. With no witnesses to defend her and the elders' lies casting a long shadow, Susanna stood alone. In this moment of despair, Susanna turned to the one source of hope she had left: God. She lifted her voice in prayer, pleading for deliverance and justice. Her words, filled with faith and desperation, reached heaven, and God answered her cry in an extraordinary way. Among those present at Susanna's trial was a young man named Daniel. Moved by divine inspiration, Daniel spoke out, challenging the court to re-examine the elders' testimony. His insistence on separating and questioning the two accusers individually was a bold and unprecedented move. As the elders were interrogated, their lies unraveled. Their conflicting accounts exposed the truth of their deception. The crowd, once eager to condemn Susanna, turned their anger toward the corrupt elders. Justice had prevailed, and Susanna's life was spared. But the story doesn't end there. Susanna's ordeal became a powerful example of how faith, courage, and divine intervention can triumph over corruption and evil. Her unwavering stand against injustice continues to inspire believers to this day. So why was such a powerful story removed from many versions of the Bible? To answer this question, we must examine the process of canonization, the selection of books deemed divinely inspired and authoritative. In the early days of Christianity, the Greek Septuagint was widely accepted by believers. This version of Scripture, which included the Book of Susanna, was cherished for its accessibility to Greek-speaking Jews and early Christians. However, as the Jewish community consolidated its Hebrew canon, texts not originally written in Hebrew were excluded. Fast forward to the Protestant Reformation. Reformers like Martin Luther scrutinized the Septuagint, categorizing books such as Susanna as apocryphal, valuable for moral instruction but not divinely inspired. These books were ultimately excluded from the Protestant canon, though they remain part of Catholic and Orthodox Bibles. The removal of the Book of Susanna sparked debates that continue even now. Was it excluded simply because of its Greek origins, or did its themes challenge powerful institutions? The story of Susanna holds profound lessons for us today. It is a narrative that confronts the abuse of power, highlights the importance of accountability, and underscores the role of faith and courage in the face of injustice. Susanna's unwavering stand is a reminder that integrity often comes at great personal cost, but it is always worth it. Her story also challenges us to reflect on how easily corruption can infiltrate positions of authority and the necessity of exposing such wrongs. Daniel's role as an instrument of God's justice reminds us that wisdom and courage are not limited by age or status. His willingness to speak out in defense of the innocent serves as a call to action for all who witness wrongdoing. Today, the Book of Susanna is viewed by some as a forgotten gem, a story whose themes are as relevant now as they were thousands of years ago. Its removal from many versions of the Bible raises important questions about how we determine which texts are considered sacred and why. Perhaps the true significance of Susanna's story lies not in its exclusion, but in its enduring power. It is a tale that continues to inspire conversations about justice, faith, and the resilience of the human spirit. As we reflect on Susanna's story, we are reminded that forbidden knowledge has a way of resurfacing. The lessons it offers challenge us to reconsider what we thought we knew and to embrace the courage to stand for truth, no matter the cost. What do you think? Should the Book of Susanna be reinstated as part of the Bible? Or does its exclusion serve a greater purpose? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more deep dives into history and scripture. The story of Susanna is not just a narrative of deliverance, but a powerful testament to the enduring battle between truth and corruption, faith and fear. Let us keep its lessons alive, shining a light on the path of justice for generations to come.